Hello, and welcome to GBA Time, a chronological series for the Game Boy Advance. Today we're doing a side project, another issue of Nintendo Power, this time May 2001, issue number 144. So we're going to flip through that, and we're going to see what we find in here. So I'm going to do this surprise journey along with all of you, and we'll see how it goes. So on the cover today, we have the Oracle games, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, available on the Game Boy Color. However, if you don't know, the Game Boy Color games and Game Boy Original games are all playable on this Game Boy Advance. So any Game Boy games that we see, you can pick them up, play them on the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Advance SP, which will be coming in a couple years, but they're all playable on this system. Then we got some merch here. We got a t-shirt, we got a player's guide, we got the mail-in rebate, we got Shrek. Shrek had just released as a hit movie earlier that year. Then we got full rundown of the Oracle games, Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages. These games are also available on the Switch Online service today. And we've got a number of Game Boy Advance games featured here that we've already covered in our reviews. So now we got the Player's Pulse here. We got a bunch of Pokemon, and we got a Bob-Omb. We got some Majora's Mask here. And we got our power chart for this month, showing who was on the cover of the most Nintendo Powers. We got a lot of Mario, we got a lot of Bowser. We also got a lot of the Kong Clan. So Donkey, Diddy, and Dixie. And for third party, we've got Mega Man. And we also got Batman. And we got Ken Griffey Jr. And we got Simon Belmont. So we got some neat fan art here. I'm looking down here. I'm seeing some skateboarding here on the bottom, on the left side. Actually, all over the page, we got a lot of Tony Hawk, so he was very popular at this time. Then we got an ad for some Nickelodeon games. Episode 10, we covered Rugrats, but not that one. So we covered a Rugrats game, and I'm sure we'll cover a SpongeBob game soon. And Rocket Power, I'm not familiar with that franchise. Alright, and then we've got a preview of a bunch of Game Boy Advance games, many of which we covered. I see on the left here, Castlevania Circle of the Moon, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Choo Choo Rocket, and Pitfall, all of which we covered already. And then I see a bunch of other stuff, Iridian, Super Dodgeball, Army Men, and Ready to Rumble, which we all played and reviewed. And then the one here that I'm not seeing on the left page is a music one, which I don't even know what that is. I don't even know if that came over to America. And then in-depth of games we already covered. And we got more. So they were pushing the Game Boy Advance a lot here at this time period. As we see here, a lot of the games we had covered already. As we see here, Nintendo 64 was winding down, and GameCube was a little bit off yet. So we're gonna get GameCube soon, but there was a heavy push for the Game Boy Advance here. And then this archaic Nintendo Online service. All these web pages, all individual web pages, so kind of weird. So we got Mario Party 3 here. Mario Party 2 and 3 were considered the peak of the series, and they are available on the Switch Online service. So you can go ahead and play those today if you have your Nintendo Switch. We got some of the boards here. I'll flip through that. And then we got an advertisement here for the DigiPen Institute of Technology, where you learn how to make games. Alright, and then we got a nice in-depth look at Super Mario Advance. Still, as of my recording, through 40 games thus far, that's my top game so far, Super Mario Advance. So, it's based on Super Mario Bros. 2. And we've got Nintendo Power Advance highlighted here, which I might have to go do a deep dive into. I gotta find those. So I might have to cover that in an upcoming episode of Nintendo Power. And then we've got F-Zero here, which we did a nice deep dive into, I believe on episode 4. There's a lot of options in that game. I just didn't care for it personally, so I know I'm in the minority there. We got adventure game here for the Nintendo 64, Aiden Chronicles. And then we got the classified information. Any highlights here? Big WCW fan at that time. So we got a little preview of that bad game from WCW. And then we got the weeding out of the cheats here, the GoldenEye, the fake cheats. Alright, then we've got Dragon Warrior 3. I'm pretty sure we're going to get some Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest games here on Game Boy Advance coming up. Iconic series. They are up to, I believe, Dragon Quest 11. Might even be more than that on Nintendo Switch. Well regarded. Got a nice Dragon Warrior 3 poster here. And we got Rayman Advance. We really liked that game when we played through it. Very beautiful, pretty art style. So, nice preview here. And an advertisement for Walmart. And look at those prices. Can we get some of those prices back today? That'd be great. N64 system for $100. And as it states here, Game Boy Advance is backward compatible, plays all Game Boy games. And then we've got our deep dive here into the Zelda Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, which at some point I will have to complete on my own. I have picked up, I think, Oracle of Ages. I put an hour or two into it, and I gave up on it. But I'll have to get back to it at some point. They're beloved, and they're always asking for a remake. Fans are always asking for a remake of these two games, and it might happen, because we did get the remake of Link's Awakening a couple of years ago, so maybe this will happen. Alright, then we got another iconic property here for the Game Boy Color, Xena Warrior Princess. Looks like an adventure game. Wonder if we'll get one of her games at some point here. Poké Center, so a lot of Pokemon. We'll get to, it'll be a while before we get to the mainline Pokemon games for Game Boy Advance in our channel. Because there was one released just before the launch of the Game Boy Advance for Game Boy Color earlier in 2001. I believe that was gold and silver. So, but we'll get some side games here, I believe in early 2002 for Pokemon games. Again, advertisement for Snoopy Tennis for Game Boy Color. And we got Indiana Jones, another Game Boy Color game. And then we got the awards here. I love looking at the old awards here. So our best overall game is Zelda Majora's Mask for the N64. Just a beloved game, and again available on the Switch Online for whenever you'd like to play it. And they did make a remake for the 3DS. And we had some other top games here of 2000. Perfect Dark, the beloved shooter that I had spent a lot of time with, doing that 4-person battle mode. A lot of people played GoldenEye back in the day. We got Perfect Dark, and we enjoyed the heck out of it. Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie. All of these games are available on the Switch Online service. And seeing if there's anything else that jumps out at me. We do have some Pokemon Stadium, some Mario Party 2 here. And then we got Best Sports Game. We got Mario Tennis, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and then the iconic WWF No Mercy. And then once we get to 2001 awards, we'll have a lot of Game Boy Advance games represented here. But there's a lot of N64, end of cycle N64 games here. But a lot of Pokemon, peak Pokemon time. Best new villain, that one I like to look at. While Luigi was introduced in Mario Tennis, he is now just an iconic Mario character. Much beloved, much asked for in Smash Brothers as a playable character, and they did not put him in. So maybe the next one. And then it ends here in the bottom right. The future is cubed. So several N64 and Game Boy Color games. So a lot of Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance will be coming out for next year. But this is a weird period where there is not a lot of console games coming out. And then the Power Prize, you turn in your envelope here, and you have a chance to win a BMX bike. And some people can win copies of this game. This Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX for Game Boy Color. And then you can get a Nintendo Power t-shirt. I wonder if anybody still has their Nintendo Power t-shirts. I'm sure some folks do. Alright, then we got our Counselor's Corner here, where we ask the questions to the experts. And a lot more Majora's Mask. There's a lot of Majora's Mask, a lot of Zelda in this issue. And Banjo-Tooie, more with that as well. Alright, then we got Lufia. There was Lufia 1 and 2 on Super Nintendo, and here we got it on Game Boy Color. And I didn't look ahead, but I wonder if Lufia is going to appear on Game Boy Advance. I would be excited to give that a try. Because RPGs play pretty well on Game Boy Advance as long as they got that battery save. Alright, and then we've got some Game Boy Color games being featured here. Their quick features here. You can flip through them. You can see if there's anything that jumps out at me. We're covering X-Men, not Wolverine's Rage, but general X-Men game on this week's episode 11. We got a couple of biking was very popular. Dirt bikes, BMX, scooters, very popular in the early 2000s, late 90s. So a lot of games featuring that. Then we got our reviews here. Mario Party 3, well regarded. The Oracle games, of course, very well regarded today, much beloved. And nothing gets a truly bad score, so that is pretty good. Alright, coming next issue, a full rollout, or even more of a rollout of Super Mario Advance. And we got E3. E3 finally died after the pandemic, but I always look forward to E3. And then we've got two games that we already covered, Castlevania Circle of the Moon and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And then a lot more games right here that we had covered previously. And then look at that. So I'm hoping to catch up and get ahead. I am currently finishing up work on episode 11, which will cover most the rest of September, and then I have a couple more games in September, and then start on October with episode 12. So hopefully I can catch up here in the next few weeks with this Nintendo Power as well, so I can get ahead, so I can do some previews of some games instead of looking back. So thank you for joining me on this journey. You have a great day.